A lot of businesses do, they try to negotiate with the bank and they try to close those accounts. So it's called OTS, where banks also are willing to
one-time
settlement where the bank are willing to give that benefit to some of their customers, the borrowers, and they offer an amount which the company is also able to pay, and they close the account. You see this adverse
information. I see a lot of red flags.
Yes.
I read one by one. So willful default.
Correct.
What does it mean?
Yeah. So basically what means is adverse information, you don't want anything to be in red here. The moment you see anything in red, that means there's a problem.
It's red.
Correct.
It's danger.
So, exactly. So for this person, there are a lot of things in green, but just one or two things are in red, which have actually contributed towards the ranking. So willful default is pretty much like if you've not been servicing your loan on time and it's gone beyond the NPA stage, where the bank have reported to the bureaus as a willful default. So you'll find
why willful? Why this word willful? They
that means
report
you
it as
have
default.
access to credit, or you have the liquidity, but you're not been servicing your loan on time.
It's an intent.
Yes.
It's from an intent perspective.
Correct.
I have money, but
I have not been
paying.
I have not been servicing my loan.
Oh, then there's trouble, no?
That's trouble. That's a big issue, basically.
Big issue, because it's intent challenge.
Exactly.
That's the behavior.
Correct. So a lot of times what happens is these flag are automatically associated with the account.
Okay.
So sometimes the banker may not do it deliberately, but because the systems are built in such a way, the willful default flag gets added automatically to a lot of accounts where you go beyond certain number of months in terms of not servicing your loan. But in case if the bank actually adds those flags, that means you are in a serious trouble. And it's very difficult to get out of something of that, that kind of
this kind of issue
flag.
Willful default.
Correct. So you need to
I think
actually
data also needs to be fed to the system. Maybe I think some sort of involvement of bankers will definitely be there in terms of feeding data to the system, which gets recognized as willful.
Correct.
The patterns.
Correct.
Understood.
Then it talks, the next part is about, again in this case it's in green, that means that there is no challenge with that.
No willful default.
Challenge with that.
Okay, next is suit file.
Suit file, like in case if there is any of your loan which have gone into NPA and further the bank has taken that additional step in terms of filing a civil suit against the company to recover. So you'll
they've
find
gone to court.
They've gone to court. So you'll find it will be just a number displayed there in terms of how many of your credit facilities have gone into a suit file kind of a scenario. So this is again a summary, right? As it's as we discussed, it's the first page where you will see only in terms of the numerical value.
Understood.
Later on, when you're talking about the account in detail, there you will see all those aspects. What is the amount that is being reported as overdue, and what is the status of the loan account, and everything that all those things will be mentioned subsequently in the details of the loan. So here you will just see the numerical value.
Numerical values.
Correct.
If it's there.
Correct.
Here it's not there. So none of his accounts have gone into suit
file kind of a scenario.
So next is written off. What is written off?
Where you've actually not repaid the loan, and finally the bank has decided that this money is not going to come back, and they've written off. This is a huge negative aspect.
Here neither they have gone to court to recover.
Correct.
Or nor they have marked it as willful, because they understand that the borrower has really in trouble. I mean, he's in real trouble and he doesn't have money.
Correct.
For that
purpose, they have internally from an accounting perspective, they're
writing it off.
Writing it off. Again, that's a negative aspect.
Because default.
So that would again block you from getting credit facilities in the future. In the future.
Understood. Settled
account is where you've actually the company's accounts are in stress, but to just what normally a lot of businesses do is they try to negotiate with the bank and they try to close those accounts. So it's called OTS, where banks also are willing to
one-time settlement
where the bank are willing to give that benefit to some of their customers, the borrowers, and they offer an amount which the company is also able to pay, and they close the account.
Understood.
So this is also in a way, it's actually a negative
Positive
account.
Or negative?
It's a negative account.
Obviously, because bank is not getting the full money.
Exactly.
So
even that is negative, but still, when you're applying for loans in future, depends on lender to lender how they consider that. basically, because that basically means that you've not defaulted on the loan, but because you were at stress during that period, you've actually closed it at a lower amount. So in future, it depends on what kind of loan that you're applying. Like if it's a secured line loan that you're going in future, then this will not have that kind of a negative aspect. But again, if you're applying for any unsecured loan as a business, then they will see that because it's a higher risk.
Correct.
When you have applying for
then there is every possibility of
that
the same
you'll come for a settlement again. So that is
one further loss.
Exactly. So it depends on what kind of loan you apply in the future, and that is then this will have impact accordingly.
Understood. Fantastic.
Correct.
Next is invoked or / default.
So this normally comes into scenarios where you have letter of credits offered by a bank guarantee,
which is a non-fund based.
Correct, a non-fund based, and you've actually utilized the bank guarantee, and the bank had to invoke the letter of credit. So that basically means that you've actually
No, I mean the third party would have invoked the guarantees,
because I have that you have not repaid the payment, and you've actually taken the goods and not even repaid back, and the bank had to actually
fund the third party.
So this is a huge.
This invoking also they'll mention here.
Exactly.
Number of invokings.
Exactly. It's a big negative kind of aspect.
Because I'm in trouble, or there is an intent challenge, or I want to willfully default.
Exactly. So give you an example. We know what happened in that scenario where the Punjab National Bank had to
fund tens of thousands of crores.
They offered a lot of LCs, and finally the Punjab Bank had to fund.
And all the exporters invoked, the suppliers invoked the LCs.
And PNB had to pay all those.
Fund 10,000 crores.
Correct. So
and the guy left to UK.
Exactly. so that is the kind of. So this is negative from a company's.
So does it matter for him the civil report and the number of invokes?
No, I don't think he's bothered about that, because the intent itself was malified at the first place.
How does it matter after 10,000 crores? I don't give a damn about civil report.
So the next part again,
the overdue.
So this is
the two open accounts, what they mentioned there on the top.
Exactly.
Here now they're mentioning the overdue.
Exactly. So the reason those two accounts went into something called delinquency was because there was an overdue.
Okay. What the number that I see is
around
12 lakh rupees.
Yeah, around 12
lakh 11,327 rupees is the overdue from two of those accounts.
Correct. So that means the EMI EMI have not gone through, and there is an overdue. So this is something that you have to be very careful from a business perspective, because if you want that access to credit available at all the time, you have to make sure you service your current credit facilities in a proper way. So that is what would help you in getting access, because as a business you're always looking for credit facilities, because you have that you need that capital, you need that working capital to keep the business going, right?
Scale the business, expand the business.
So for that, it's extremely important that you service your existing facilities on time.
Understood.
And even when the accounts are in stress, there are a lot of mechanisms that can be used, like but you need to work with the banker very closely. You restructure your loan, and there are a lot of other ways to manage it. You just don't leave it as it is. So that is
don't leave it as it is.
Yeah, don't leave it as it is. That will have a much greater impact in terms of your ranking, and it's not very easy to bring your ranking back the moment it goes back, because
again you have to build the track record.
Yes, you have to build that track record. So it's extremely difficult. So that's what I would say from a company's perspective. You have to have a very close view in terms of how your loans have been serviced, and in case if your company is in stress, or if your accounts are in stress, how you can manage or restructure your loan so that you keep paying at least the interest component, you keep servicing your interest component, and keep the account standard it does not go into a NPA kind of a stage.
This is exactly like paying minimum balance on credit cards.
Correct, exactly.
If I think if I can't manage the entire outstanding within the
At
due
least
date,
you pay.
manage the minimum balance.
Again, what you also need to make
it's a
sure is
lame-
that's again a stopgap arrangement. The moment you come back on track, it's very important that you go back to those loan facilities, again get them restructured, and you start contributing more towards your principal. So then I think the next part is straightforward, the dishonored
Dishonored
checks.
check. How many
So the
checks
number
have
of
been
checks
dishonored?
that have, so this guy,
Oh, the number will appear here, is it?
Yes.
If I have dishonored some 50 checks.
correct,
the
the number
50 will appear
yeah, the
here.
count will appear, not the value.
Not the
count,
value, the
yeah, the
counts.
count of checks.
Or basically, I think these days it's ECS.
Exactly.
So it's all electronic.
Correct.
So the moment I default on my ECS,
it will be considered as a
Check bounce.
bounce.
Oh.
So you will see the check bounces
the
there.
number of check bounce.
Correct.
I think this in itself will give a proper, kundli of a company.
Exactly.
What is it that's happening with their borrowings?
So as the mention on the page, this is exactly the summary. The first page itself will give you a lot of insights on how the company is doing.
All the parameters are present.
Exactly.